Hey everyone, welcome back to our YouTube channel. This video series is about how to prepare for your trip to Southeast Asia and what to expect.
We'll cover topics such as security and safety, animals, weather, health, road safety, how to rent and use motorbike in Southeast Asia, as well as what to pack for the trip.
So let's dive in.
Let's dive in.
As many of you know, we traveled around Southeast Asia for 3 months. This video will cover your personal safety, such as protecting your belongings, taking care of yourself as you're on the move, you're staying at your hotel, or participating in different activities, all so that you can have an amazing trip.
First of all, a small reminder, we loved our trip to Southeast Asia and we met nearly 100% amazing people, many of whom welcomed us to their houses, like in Ubud, Indonesia, or in Ninh Binh, Vietnam. It was an amazing human experience. Nonetheless, there's a very small percentage of times when we had to stay vigilant or things happened to us, and we want to share our experience.
So you should remain vigilant anywhere you travel. In general, like Gashu said, we met wonderful people, but of course you may encounter some bad apples.
And the most important thing is that you probably stand out by your looks, by your behavior, by not knowing the local customs and language. So you make it for an easy target, and obviously an opportunity makes a thief, as we say in Poland. So this video is for you to prepare your trip and make sure that you're safe.
First off, your belongings. Everything should have its place so that you don't have to look for it. You know where everything is, especially if you're in a rush. And if you see that you can't find something, you'll know that it's missing. We'll give you more tips on how we packed our bags in another video.
And to give you an example of why is this useful, my headphones were stolen in Vietnam. We noticed within literally 8 hours of this incident, and the moment we came back to the hotel, they were stolen in the most ridiculous way and the most cliche way, unfortunately. And we even considered if we really want to share it with you guys, but here it comes. They were stolen by the cleaning lady. And we only found out because the hotel had a very reinforced security cameras in every single corner of the building. But we realized the moment we came back to the hotel room, because everything has its place. And I never take headphones to the city during the day, because why would I use them when we are on the trip? And this is when we come back, everything has its place, and this particular item was missing because this was the only day when I didn't put them back into the backpack. I thought, like, old headphones, who would want them? And we're locking the room. We never asked for room service. So basically they will be there when I'm back, and they were not. And if everything did not have its place, I would literally let go. I was ready to admit, and we will talk about this in this video a little bit later. I was ready to admit that I lost them, and it's totally on me, and I would never assume anyone in the hotel would like enter the room or whatsoever, but that was the case. And actually this story had a happy ending because we were able to react right away, and I had my headphones back. They're literally headphones. I checked the serial number, like that is inside AirPods. It was matching the ones I bought because I had original package. My brother checked it back home within a few hours of this incident, only because we reacted so fast. Literally, we were leaving the hotel in a few days. So once on the go, I would need headphones maybe a few days later. I would have never found them again. But I was able to recover my headphones within a few hours just because we knew where everything is.
So while you're traveling, one of the things that we kept, or that you should keep in mind, is that you can make your things feel a little bit more worn than they are. So one of the first things that we thought of is, you know, if we're wearing anything, make sure that name brands aren't visible. You want to wear, you know, something like this or something like Gashu is wearing, no name brands. We kept that in mind as we were traveling throughout Southeast Asia, and that kind of helped us blend in and not stand out as much as possible. And the next thing that goes into belongings is make them a little bit more worn than they actually are. So for instance, for our camera gear, we, you know, added a bit of tape or band-aid to make them look a little bit more worn. We also, you know, selected a bag for our camera that seemed a little bit more like a lunchbox, so that you would be a little bit less obvious to others that were, you know, trying to see what we had. And also other things like, for instance, the AirPods that Gashu was talking about. She added a little bit of a sticker to it so that it can make them seem a little bit less appealing, right? When you're traveling around, try to keep these tips in mind for whatever you're wearing and whatever you have on you.
Second on the tip on the AirPods and everything that you have, adding stickers or some really personal markings on them makes them more characteristical. So if someone is walking next to you with AirPods looking like this with a little sticker, and the sticker is worn very characteristical, you know it's your headphones and your stickers. That was obviously serial number is a more important thing to recognize your headphones, but we could clearly see this when they returned them.
Next up, locks and secure zippers. So as many of you may have seen when we were traveling around Southeast Asia, these were the two bags that we had with us, and I thought that they were super reliable. On my end, I chose a backpack that was super simple. You know, you could see it's like worn, but it's a great brand, and it has two openings, right? So one for quick grab, you know, I can just pull something out of my backpack, easy to undo there. And then two, one main opening for everything else, right? So if I was walking around and someone decided to approach me and try to open up my zippers to the main pocket of the bag, I could immediately tell and react. And I thought that this was a super reliable bag to have around when we were traveling.
Make sure that you have your valuables hidden deep in the backpack. You'll definitely need your passport or some other important things like money with you on everyday basis when you're going to the city center. It's good to have a backpack. Mine is also quite simple, but I love this brand. Has an internal pocket, so basically to get to my belongings, the most important ones, you need to open two zippers, and as you can hear, they're pretty loud. So this was my security measure. Also, something so super simple that we also Googled before our travel, and we kind of made a habit out of this, is always put both zippers to the side, because it's so much more difficult to make this movement and try to open the entire backpack. It's like makes more noise and so on, than to have the zippers here at the top and just open your backpack like this and everything falls out, and it's easier just to dig in. Another thing that we use for humans and for animals is to put your zipper together and basically just tie if you can, and if not, just tie a little ribbon or something and tie them together. It's very annoying because then you want to grab a drink or something from your backpack and you need to undo this entire machinery, but well, this is for security reasons and we did it a lot during our trip. So this is for the small backpacks, and just very quickly, because we're going to chat about it in a second, we had very simple small locks, the ones that you usually have for your travel, like luggage and stuff, that we use for our big backpacks, our big travel backpacks, because these are amazing and we're very happy with ours. We'll show you more in the video where we talk about how we packed ourselves. We're like, what did we pack in the baggage? But the advantage and disadvantage of this kind of bags is that they have many zippers and many ways to get inside the backpack. So basically, when we were leaving most of our belongings for the day inside the hotel, and obviously just taking a little backpack like this to the city, we had to make sure that our belongings are secure, and we had a special trick using these locks. Now let's move to the safety and security of you and your belongings in hotels. During our trip, we stayed in a variety of places, some of a better standards, some of worse standards, and the same applied to security or how we felt. I know it probably goes without saying, but a very basic rule to start with is when you arrive, just kind of check out the room, understand how the windows open and close, how to lock the door. Always have them locked when you leave the room. This was also our safety protocol. Whenever we were leaving the room and leaving our belongings in the room, we would just like do a basic, like, okay, windows check, doors check, I have the key, the door is really locked when we left, and so on. The same goes to having a general idea of the layout of the hotel or the place where you're staying, being like, if something happens, like, I don't have to run around not knowing what to do, where's safety, you know, like evacuation stairs, or are there any other ways to get out of the room or of the building than the one that I got through, and so on and so forth. So very important, just like, I know it applies as a general safety, but especially that you're in a different country, in a different culture. Buildings are not built the same way. Literally, this is like the first thing that you need to kind of get used to. It's just a very simple habit to have whenever you arrive. Like, it's kind of like set it and forget it. You check it once and you always know what to do.
And that goes for anything that you might need if you need to make a quick exit out of wherever you might be staying, right? Some of the places that we went to, you know, they might be prone to tsunamis or earthquakes, or there might be some sort of other emergency. And so something that I learned along the way, and you may have seen it in some videos, is have, you know, a quick grab and go pack, right? So in this, you know, super small bag, I had all of the essentials that I needed throughout our trip. That included passport, keys, extra cash, anything else that I would need if I just, needed to, go immediately from wherever we're staying. So this was super crucial, super essential for how we were traveling in Southeast Asia, and I would definitely recommend it. It doesn't have to be this bag specifically, but at least something quick and easy. This one also has multiple zippers, different pockets inside, so something like this would be super helpful on your trip.
And going back to our comment about the locks, we also used them in a hotel. Like I said, we left our belongings behind. Some of them were more or less valuable depending on what we were doing that day. Like if we were doing activities that required us to be very light and sporty, and we did those, we had to leave nearly everything behind. So being mindful of this, we used those locks. We actually found the one video on YouTube, I think, when we were trying to figure out how to leave your belongings securely. And there was a person showing how they basically tie their backpack, the traveler backpack, as much as they can, so nothing sticks out. Like there's only one entry to the backpack, and then they used the lock to, using the straps of the backpack, tie it to the most bulky and heavy item in the room. This being like usually the bed or the table or something else. And this way, like literally the backpack is chained to the heaviest item in the room. And you may say, like, if someone would want to like destroy it and like just rip it apart and like steal our things, they could. But we thought that we would not encounter this kind of thieves, that if someone would want to steal something, they would probably want to make an impression that there was like no one in the room or like nothing changed in the room. So this was a very easy way to make sure that no one even tries.
Next up, finding and booking activities. I thought if you're looking for activities in Southeast Asia, you might have seen plenty of them in our videos, but some of the things that we did were look up online, read reviews, ask locals, look up videos similar to ours to get really good tips on where to go and what to see, and from where you potentially could book your activities while you're traveling in Southeast Asia. Make sure that you're reading up on the different comments, what people have enjoyed, what they haven't. For instance, we went on a few volcano hikes while we were in Indonesia, and I wanted to read up on where to go, who to go with, where to stay, kind of really get an itinerary of the different visits so that we could get a really good feel for those different trips before we actually got super close to different volcanoes. And those made me feel better because I knew that I knew what to expect, first of all, but also that we would remain safe along the way, and that we were going with organizers that had done this a lot and that had gotten good reviews along the way.
So one of the safety tips is to book the activity via the hotel. We did this, for example, to visit Mount Ijen. And the advantage is that, first of all, you do not have to look. And second of all, probably this is already a verified activity. We actually got inspiration from another YouTuber who helped us a lot while preparing our trip to Indonesia. And in his video, he said, I stayed at this hotel and they already booked the trip for me. So we thought, okay, this is such a great shortcut, let's do it. And basically this little hotel, quality of stay was really towards the low of what we would otherwise accept. But I think that they really literally specialized in sending people to Mount Ijen. And that was great because we basically said, okay, we're doing this with you guys. And as you could see on our videos, doing those activities, you depart at 2 a.m. You get into a van with like some random people and you fall asleep because you're trying to catch up on sleep. And then you're going to be hiking up a volcano in the dark. So you really need to trust these people to make this move, right? So booking this via a hotel really adds the safety layer. If you do not book via hotel, you can always ask your hotel to verify this activity for you or a business. So for example, when we went to the temple at the border between Cambodia and Thailand, not surprisingly, now we know why there are not so many trips organized in this direction. So out of the few that we found, we verified everything, reviews and stuff, and then we asked our hotel to check this business, basically. We said, hey, can you verify, do you have a way of verifying in like your own language or like your own ways if this is a legit business, if this website even exists, and so on. And they even called the business for us and they talked to them, and this is how we kind of get reassured that the business is legit. The second aspect of this is that the hotel knew that we are going and kind of felt responsible for us, which is obviously great. And when we were leaving the hotel again, we were leaving at 4 in the morning for that thing. It was still dark outside, and we basically, when we were leaving, at the in the lobby, we said like, hi, so we're leaving for this trip with these people. We will be back in a few hours, and we gave more or less the time. We confirmed with the guide who was with us, being like, what time we will be back? Oh, 5 p.m.? We will be back at 5 p.m., right? They already had their phone number, they had their website, they knew we were leaving with them, so they knew when to expect us, and they kind of knew, you know, this is kind of like a verification layer again. The additional thing, I know that this is not the direct reaction, or like they cannot help you right away, but it's good to share with your beloved ones, especially if you know that you're going to do an activity that maybe is not dangerous, but a little bit out of mainstream. Just write your beloved ones being like, hey, tomorrow I'm going on this trip. Please, if you do not hear from me by this time, you know, this is the number for the consulate or something, or like, these are all the information that you should know about this trip. If you were to look for me in the mountains, or I don't know. So we used this a few times. Other than that, we were basically, our family was like, okay, they're fine, they're having fun in Southeast Asia, but there were a few occasions, and one of those occasions, again, going back, it was when we were in next to Mount Bromo, and we fell into Probolingo scam, and we got super scared. We're going to talk about this. The next day, when we were trying to get out of the situation, a little bit in panic mode, we wrote our beloved ones being like, hey, this is what is happening. We're a little bit scared. We even took a picture with the driver, and we sent the picture of the driver and the car that we were in, pretending that we were taking vacation pictures. This is also a move that you can sometimes use. We sent those pictures using our roaming data to our beloved ones, being like, today is a little bit a tricky day. Please, if you don't hear from me, or like, I will confirm if everything is okay. And everything was okay. So a few hours later, we were just like, okay, panic, cancel panic, like everything is fine. We're on the other side and we're safe. But this is useful to kind of like, just know that there are additional things that you can do just to make sure that you're safe when you're doing activities. And in short, these are a few tips that we followed for our own safety. And just so you know, we only had minor issues, and thankfully our trip was mostly, pleasant and without any troubles. But let's face it, you cannot prevent or predict every possible scenario. So preventing it or anticipating or just thinking ahead makes this entire experience easier.
And really, we hope that just by sharing these few tips, we can help you plan your trip to any of the wonderful countries that we visited in Southeast Asia. And of course, we hope that you have an amazing time. And with that, we'll see you in the next video. Break. Cut that. What happened? That was it.
Start again.
This is as far as we're gonna get.
Yes, I know.